My name is Liz Kynoch. I used to work for Tesco, and I worked for Marks & Spencer, and I worked for Safeway, and I've worked in food manufacturing. I was the Group Technical Director for Tesco, so I had the responsibility to make sure that all Tesco products were safe and of the right quality and ethically and sustainably sourced. That covered more than just food. This evening, I'm very pleased to be with this audience, many of whom are small manufacturers of branded products, trying to expand their businesses and get their products into major retailers, which is pretty difficult to do. Retailers obviously sell brands, but they also sell own label products, and there has been a real trend over the last 20 years to have much more own label product. So if it's Marks & Spencer or Tesco branded goods rather than leading brands. And quite often what a retailer will wish to do is they will have the brand, they will have their own label version of it as well. And there's two reasons for them doing that. One is to increase their own brand presence, but secondly is the profit that they make from selling an own label product is greater than it is from selling a brand.
So if I'm a new manufacturer and I'm approaching Tesco's, would I be approaching them as my own brand, or would it be better for me to approach them as, hey, I can do your label?
Well, I guess it depends. When you're deciding how to approach a retailer. When you're deciding how to approach a retailer, whether you should go with an own label offering or go with a branded offering, it very much depends what the product is you're offering. Because the likelihood of you having a unique product is quite rare. You'll be trying to sell them something they already have. So if you wanted to sell them a wonderful tomato ketchup when they already had one, what's your proposition? You need to have a better product and you need to have a better price. So if you want to chase own label, you must give them something they either don't have, something unique, say like when there isn't a market for liquid egg white, that would be a unique product. Or you have a better product than the one they have now. But there's a lot of loyalty for their existing manufacturers. So if you come and say, here's a new ketchup, it's going to have to be a very compelling reason for them to stop buying from one supplier and move to another. If it's a brand, again, it's got to be a great product at a great price and something that consumers want to buy. So you do need to have some consumer research done beforehand to go in to prove to the retailer that this is a great product that they should be selling.
So what's the fastest way, if you are an existing brand or an existing supplier to one of these grocery stores, what's the fastest way to lose that contract?
The fastest way to lose a contract? Well, one is to breach any of the technical rules. So your factories of poor quality, you'll just be shut down straight away. Or you suddenly ask for a huge price hike and you can't agree on price, but that's how you burn your bridges straight away. That's why your technical standards in your factory, the hygiene you do has to be really good. Or if you have a great big quality failure, you end up using wood in your product, it will be withdrawn, and it's very, very expensive. When you have a manufacturing error, it will cost you a fortune, and you need to be well insured for that.
So you mentioned that you are a compliance specialist, and you really understand, all of the different tick points that the manufacturer needs to go through to make sure that it's safe, that it's healthy, and all those things. Can you give us a bit of an idea of what that kind of looks like?
In order to satisfy the requirements of any major retailer, and some of the smaller ones as well, you first of all have to operate to accredited standards. So there's something in the UK called, actually worldwide, called the British Retail Consortium Standard, and the minimum entry point, for any own label product would be to have a BRC higher approval. But all of the retailers have their own technical standards to operate to. So there's the benchmark standard, the BRC, and they have their higher standards. You have to have a technical team who understand the requirements of the retailer. That's the absolute minimum. But you will be audited on a regular basis. Sometimes it will be unannounced. So your operating standards have to be the same 24/7.
So what are some of the costs for a business entering into this? You mentioned that there are some listing fees and other types of fees that they have to sort of put on their front end. What kind of things does a manufacturer need to think about?
Well, if I can talk mainly from the technical side about the costs of doing business with a retailer, you have to have an accredited factory, so you have to pay for audits. You probably have a technical audit, you probably have an ethical audit, that's making sure that labour standards are good, and it depends on the size of your factory, but that could cost you a few £1,000s every year, so that would be an absolute minimum. In terms of any other costs that will be specific to retailers, listing costs, and that will be a one-to-one negotiation with the buyer. But put it this way, it's not hundreds of pounds, it's thousands of pounds.
Is there a cost advantage to producing container loads of a product versus the container? You talked about how, and I might have misunderstood it, but there is, you have to be able to take off a percentage if you're doing a huge business, that element of the promotion.
The quantities that a manufacturer produces at any time are guided by two things. One is the orders that they're given by a retailer, and secondly is the shelf life. So for example, baked beans we talked about, it's a canned product, it's probably got a product life of 9 months. You can afford to produce a great big batch of that, it's economical to do, and then you call from a store. If you make fresh cream cakes, you make them every single day and you deliver daily. So the cost is quite different or make a sandwich every day, send it into a retailer versus making in bulk. But if you make in bulk and you make 6 months worth, the risk's all at your side, so you're sitting with 6 months worth of stock. So your business has to be funded in a way to do that. The worst example, the most expensive example, is Parmesan cheese. I don't know if you've ever seen a whole Parmesan. That's $2,000 or $3,000 of cost. When you go to a warehouse in Italy to see Parmesan, that's funded by almost the Italian National Bank. We're talking about hundreds of millions of pounds worth of stock tied up. Clearly baked beans are cheaper.
And I guess that was that one gentleman asked about the cost of entering. And you said you really have to be able to support your own supply. Can you sort of describe really what that means to any number of these businesses that might be interested? They kind of get what they need to have prepared when talking to a buyer?
Well, if a small manufacturer with a brand trying to get into a retailer, one of the things they'll do early, once they've agreed to buy the product, is what the store distribution is. So, I mean, Tesco has over 1,000 stores, but it could be that a product will only go into the top 500 stores. Now, the buyers will actually give the manufacturer an idea of what they expect the rate of sale to be, and then you'll know how much stock you're having to produce. So you will know early on what your risk is. We also talked a little bit about when it's a short shelf life product, of course, you have wastage. And if a new product goes into store and it doesn't sell, it goes into waste, and that's very expensive, and that's off everybody's bottom line. So if you put £100 in and you sell 50, you have 50 quid's worth of waste, which comes off your bottom line. So it's very expensive. I mean, every retailer in the world wants to put products into store and customers to take them away and have zero waste. It's not an issue on long life ambient products, but it's a serious issue on chilled products.
So what is sort of a reasonable expectation with your actually forgot it's a stupid question, I don't know how to ask it. Okay, so I finished all the questions that I have. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think that, do I have anything to add? I think that for lots of small manufacturers, people getting into it, funding is going to be really important. If you don't have the funds yourself to do the job properly and thoroughly, and you don't want to risk your house, you really need to be chasing funding early on. And by that I mean, it could be family and friends, could be crowdfunding. That's really key, and you have to have a bit of an idea how to do that. Because if you want your business to grow in any way, you're going to have to fund it. No one will come in and give you money. No retailer will just pay you up front. The other thing about retailers is payment terms. It could be from everything from a month to 90 days. A lot of food products are bought, consumed, way before anybody gets paid. So you have to have a cash flow that allows you to be able to fund that business in its early stages.